This is Margit Strout, and we're going to be cooking for your health. I don't know about you, but my garden has been very prolific this year. We have been growing cucumbers, and we have tons of cucumbers, and I bought a packet of beans that were mixed colors. So the purple, the wax, and the green, they're kind of fun. The purple beans do turn green when you cook them, but they look awful pretty without that. And we have some peppers going. They're not percolating real good, as my father would say, but we are doing, there are some little ones on there. Today we're going to do some recipes for the excess of cucumbers, because one can only eat so many cucumber sandwiches and so many cucumbers in salad. So we're going to work on doing some things with cooking some cucumbers, and I'm going to show you my fail-proof green bean recipe that everybody loves. To make the salmon with cucumber sauce, you need half a pound salmon fillets, or the equivalent of canned or foil packed salmon, 1 cup of plain yogurt, 1 tablespoon all-purpose flour, a tablespoon chopped fresh or a teaspoon dried dillweed, a teaspoon prepared horseradish, 1 cup chopped seeded unpeeled cucumber, about 1 medium, and 1 cup of medium seashell macaroni or another pasta. I used angel hair. Now, the recipe that I got off the internet called for half a pound of salmon fillets. Instead of that, because of the WIC food package, salmon is allowed in the foil packets. So I'm using salmon in the foil packets because normally you poach the salmon and then you crumble it. So I saved myself a step. Plus, this is less expensive. You take 1 cup of plain yogurt. Now, I was a little bit, I don't know if I'm lazy or what, but I decided to try a little bit of the Greek yogurt in this simply because it's a little thicker. I'm going to put a tablespoon of plain flour, whoops, and I'm going to whisk that in. The Greek yogurt comes in 6-ounce portions, so I added just a little bit of plain non-fat yogurt. And then I'm going to put a teaspoon of dried dill. If you want to do fresh dill, mine hasn't come in yet, you're going to do a tablespoon of chopped fresh dill. And then you're going to put a teaspoon of prepared horseradish. If you don't like horseradish, but you still want to have a little bit of that zing, plain mustard works quite well for this. It's a good substitution. I'm going to whisk this together, and then I'm going to put it in my skillet, and I'm using an electric skillet that I need to turn down. Now, dill and salmon work wonderfully together. You're making a sauce here. It's very low in fat. The flour is to kind of thicken it so it doesn't separate too badly. You can use regular flour or you can use white flour. And you're going to put, and I used 1 cucumber that I chopped up and seeded. I'm going to put this in. Cucumber and dill go really well together, as well as the horseradish and the yogurt. It's kind of one of those complementary things. Now this looks pretty. I'm going to take my salmon. I'm going to turn this down just a smidge more because I think it's, and honestly, I've never used the stuff from the packets. But it's less expensive. I was surprised. If you like tuna, this might be a really good thing to substitute. The recipe also called for macaroni. I'm not crazy about macaroni with a thick sauce, so I did some angel hair pasta. And again, I have to confess my preference. I am not a big whole wheat pasta lover. I have tried to like whole wheat pasta. I have cooked whole wheat pasta. And so if you like whole wheat, go for it. I just can't. Ooh, this is smelling wonderful. And it looks yummy as well. Let me unplug this. Ugh. Alrighty, and I'm going to pour this over the pasta and see how little mess I can make and get all the good stuff on there. This is low in fat, but it's got good fats in it because salmon is really high in those omega-3 fatty acids. It is also high in calcium, high in protein, relatively inexpensive, and gosh, that looks pretty. That will make a wonderful meal. I'm going to try a forkful just to show you. I do eat what I cook. And you don't want to cook the cucumber too long because they get kind of icky if they're cooked too long. But, oops, let's see if I can do this delicately. Delicious. Sorry about that. Wonderful. It's got a light flavor. It wasn't real hot. So in this hot weather, you can cook it. It's easy, it's inexpensive, and it's highly nutritious. The ingredients for the Japanese cucumber salad is 2 medium or 1 large cucumber, sliced very thin, a 1/4 cup of rice wine vinegar, or a 1/4 cup of rice wine vinegar dressing. If you use the dressing, you do not need to add a teaspoon of sugar, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 2 tablespoons of sesame seeds, and an option of about 1/2 cup of carrots shredded. And this is one of those that looks like you did a ton of work, but you really didn't. Now, I have to confess, when I was at the grocery store last night buying ingredients for this, instead of buying rice wine vinegar, I bought rice wine dressing. So the salt and sugar is already added. Saves you a step, but I'll give you the recipe both ways. You put, let's see, 2 medium cucumbers, and I slice these on the grater just so I'd get really, really thin slices. That makes it better. I am also going to add some carrot, which was not in the original recipe, but I think it adds some color and it adds some different flavor and texture. And I like different flavors and textures. I'll put these in here, kind of mix them around without flailing them all over, hopefully. Okay. And then you put, and again, this recipe is so good for this weather, you put a 1/4 cup of rice wine vinegar. If you get the dressing, you don't have to add anything else but that. If you don't, you add, let me get my ingredients, a teaspoon of sugar and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Pour that over. Now, this is a salad that you want to eat pretty well immediately. It doesn't age well in the refrigerator. And then you sprinkle a couple tablespoons of sesame seeds. Again, oh, it smells wonderful. It's easy, it's cooling, and I think it's darn pretty. The ingredients you need for the corn cucumber salsa is corn from 3 ears of corn removed from the cob, or the equivalent of frozen corn, 1 large cucumber, peeled, cut in slices that are about 1/2 inch thick and seeded, a 1/3 cup of diet Italian dressing, a 1/4 cup red onion chopped, 2 tablespoons cilantro fresh chopped, or the equivalent of parsley, or if you have to use dried, you may use dried, a teaspoon of red pepper flakes or chili powder. Now salsas are made with all different ingredients. We need to, kind of mix it up a little bit. I am going to say that I've made some modifications to this recipe also for preference, because some people love cilantro, some people don't like cilantro. So you can substitute parsley for cilantro if you so desire. Okay. The recipe called for corn from 3 ears of corn. And I use frozen corn because I'm lazy. Cucumber that has been peeled and seeded. About a half a cup of red onion, or quarter cup of red onion, diced. I put that in the food processor. Ooh, it's pretty. All different pretty colors. Then a little bit of cilantro or regular parsley, whichever you prefer. Red pepper flakes or chili powder for a little bit of spice. And you can modify this again. You don't need to have a ton of it. And good old low-fat Italian dressing. We're not talking a hard recipe again. This looks like it would go great with grilled meats and grilled vegetables. It's pretty. It's got all these wonderful colors. It smells really yummy. I'm going to put it in this new little fancy bowl that I have. If I can stop throwing things. This is going to be cool and easy. I bet if you wanted to, if you're one of those people who love to grill, you could make this with grilled corn. Would be really neat. It would make a nice smoky flavor in it. I'm going to taste it. Too good. Really light, cool, a lot of different textures and flavors. The ingredients for the cucumber black-eyed pea salad: 3 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, 2 tablespoons of lemon juice or the juice of half a lemon, 2 teaspoons of chopped fresh oregano or a teaspoon of dried, 4 cups of peeled and diced cucumbers, 1 14-ounce can of black-eyed peas or the equivalent of fresh cooked, 2/3 cup of diced red bell pepper, a half a cup of crumbled feta cheese, a 1/4 cup of red onion, and 2 tablespoons of chopped black olives. Again, this is something that you can make when it's really hot outside because it doesn't take a whole lot of cooking. You're going to put 3 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, or another oil if you want to, and about 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. And I'm just going to kind of pour this in because I think it's the juice of half a lemon, which is about 2 tablespoons. I don't know if anyone's figured out. I'm not all that exact with my measures. Well, that was fun. About 1 teaspoon of dried oregano and a little bit of pepper. Now, I want to tell you a trick about this. I did not know this. With these pepper mills, the farther down you screw the top, the more fine you get the grind. So I'm going to do the grind way up because I like having big old chunks. I don't know. I think that's more substantial. We're going to whisk this together because this is going to be the dressing. And the more you whisk it, the more it's going to go together. Then we are going to add the equivalent of a 14-ounce can of black-eyed peas. I cooked these and I froze them. 4 cups of peeled diced cucumbers. If we can get them out. The food is not cooperating with me today. About 2/3 a cup of diced red pepper. And again, this is going to add a lot of color. Beautiful red color. A 1/4 cup of red onion. And it says 2 tablespoons of black olives, but I got sliced olives and There's no such thing as too many olives. And some feta cheese that has been crumbled. And I bought the low fat. And I'm going to stir this up. This is going to be a nutrient dense, good fats, good fiber, lots of different tastes and textures, and it's actually quite pretty. And I'm going to spoon it up and put it in the other side by my corn salsa. And after I get it dished up, I'll take a bite. Isn't that pretty? Again, this would be a good salad to have on hand, and I bet it would get better with age because there's not a ton of vinegar, so you won't have pickles. But the peppers and the other colors are wonderful. You've got good protein, you've got good types of fat. And here, let me take a bite. Let me get a pepper in here. Really good. For the sauteed green beans, you will need probably about 2 tablespoons of oil, as much garlic as you want, from 1 to 5 cloves, a little bit of salt to taste, and approximately 2 to 3 cups of green beans, or a variety of green beans. This is a recipe that I quasi got from my brother-in-law and have modified. And I love, it is one of my favorites, it's one of my son's favorites. Now, I like garlic, so I'm going to put about 3 or 4 cloves of garlic in my electric fry pan. I usually use a regular fry pan, and I put the whole thing in there because it tastes good. It's supposed to be good for you. People that live to ripe old ages are always saying they eat lots of garlic and onion, so it can't hurt. And whew, all the bits of the pieces are good. And let's see if this starts to cook a little. Then I'm going to put, this is probably about 2.5 cups of green beans and wax beans and the purple beans, which again I said turn color. Got a stem in there, but stems won't hurt you. And I'm going to saute these and add just a tad of salt. I have found if you don't add the salt, it's not very good. Green beans tend to be a little bland. And again, green beans, once you start getting them, you have to go out every day. You want to pick them in the afternoon, not the morning. If you pick them in the morning, the dew is still on the leaves and they rust. Found that out when I was a kid. Because I was like, why did these turn horrible colors? So we're just going to saute these. You don't want to cook these till they're soggy. You want them al dente, or partially undercooked. And it smells really good, it tastes really good. In the winter, if you don't have fresh green beans, of course it's hard to grow fresh greens in the winter here, you can just use frozen. Yum, yum, yum. If you want to add pepper or any other herbs and spices, you can, but I like keeping it simple. Now see, I don't know if you can get a close-up of this bean that's green and purple, because they do turn green, but it's fun if you can keep just a little bit of purple in there. I think these are about done. I kind of like the purple beans because if I leave just a little purple, it's kind of like a litmus test. I don't want them totally cooked. I'm going to take these off the heat. When you do frozen, you're going to have to cook them a little longer, but I put them straight from the freezer into the pan. And this is a lot nicer than just plain ordinary old boiled green beans. I don't know about you, but I get kind of bored with that. Whew, it's hot. I have found that these you need a little bit of oil. It doesn't work well if you use Pam or another pan coat. And I'm going to show you, I do eat these. Perfect. They're a little crunchy, but yet they're warm, and it's not a hot thing to make in the middle of summer. Today we've done a lot with vegetables from my garden that are easy, adding a little variety to your summer and possibly your winter, because these will also go well in winter. Enjoy.